Talking a lot doesn't mean communicating. Most people don't understand this. They confuse volume with connection, words with wisdom. But the more they try to make themselves heard, the less they understand that the real power lies in silence. Because whoever masters their tongue masters their mind, and whoever knows how to listen leads effortlessly. We live in an era where everyone has an opinion, interrupts, corrects, and advises without being asked. Communication has become a competition of egos disguised as dialogue. Everyone wants to have the last word, but few seek to understand. And that's where Stoicism comes into play. Not so you can speak better, but so you can speak less and observe more. Because words without control are like arrows without direction. They hurt, even when you don't mean to. This video is about that. About learning to be silent when your ego wants to speak. About choosing calm over impulse. About listening with presence, with empathy, and with respect. The Stoics knew that the way you listen reveals who you are, because listening is a form of discipline. It's mastering the desire to correct, to advise, to impose. The Stoic art of communication is not about saying the right thing, but about being consistent with what you think, feel, and do. Each word can build or destroy, inspire or alienate. What you'll learn here are not techniques to speak well, but habits that will make you understand better. Because in the end, the winner is not the one who speaks more, but the one who understands first. When listen to understand, there are conversations that sound like storms, a lot of noise, many words, but nothing is understood. And not because the other person doesn't speak clearly, but because no one really listens. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. It's not nodding your head while your mind plans the perfect response. Truly listening is turning off the internal noise, lowering the ego, and making room to understand what the other person is trying to say, even when they don't say it with words. That's the difference between communicating and just exchanging sounds. Stoicism teaches that whoever masters their attention masters their world. Epictetus said that we are not disturbed by what happens, but by the interpretation we make of it. And that interpretation comes from what we hear. But if you only listen with the desire to respond, what you understand is filtered by your judgments, by your wounds, by your need to be right. That's why many times you don't listen to the other person, you listen to yourself through them. Listening to understand requires humility, because it implies accepting that the other person can teach you something, even if they don't say it the way you would like. It involves recognizing that not everything that is said needs a response, and that sometimes silence is more powerful than any argument. When you interrupt or correct someone just to show that you know more, you are not communicating wisdom, you are feeding your ego. The wise person does not seek to impose, they seek to understand. Because understanding the other person is understanding human nature, and that is something the Stoic values more than any verbal victory. If you observe closely, the most respected people are not those who speak the most, but those who listen with true attention. Their presence conveys calm, security, balance. They don't need to fill the space with words, because their silence is not empty, it's pure attention. Listening with that depth allows you to read what's behind the words, the emotions, the fears, the intentions. That's where the true art of communication lies. Practicing it is not easy. It requires restraining the automatic impulse to give an opinion, correct or advise. It requires biting your tongue and letting the other person express themselves without feeling analyzed. It's an act of self-control, a form of internal discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should learn to speak only when necessary and with purpose, but also to be silent when silence teaches more. That teaching applies to any conversation. When you choose to listen, you choose wisdom. In daily life, you can start by applying it in the simplest way. The next time someone talks to you, don't think about what you'll respond. Observe their gestures, their tone, their emotion. Try to understand what they're not saying. Sometimes people don't look for answers, they just want to be understood. If you can offer them that, you will have done something bigger than winning an argument. You will have created connection. The Stoic knows that listening does not make them weak, it makes them aware. Because whoever masters listening masters their impulses, and whoever masters their impulses masters their mind. Listening to understand is not a technique, it's a way of life. It's choosing wisdom over pride. It's recognizing that understanding doesn't always need words. And when you manage to do it, you'll notice that conversations will no longer be a war of reasons, but a bridge to understanding. And that, in a world full of noise, is a form of silent power. 2. Value silence. Silence is like a mirror. It reflects who you truly are when no one else is speaking. Most people avoid it because they fear confronting what their mind says when everything falls quiet. But silence is not absence, it's presence. It's the space where words find their true weight, where emotions lower their voice and thought becomes organized. In a conversation, silence can be more eloquent than any speech. It's the place where processing, understanding, and connecting happens. The problem is that we live in an era where silence is mistaken for weakness. Everyone wants to have the last word, fill every pause, prove that they know, that they have an opinion, that they exist. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. True power lies in restraint, not in discharge. Marcus Aurelius said that he who controls his tongue demonstrates mastery over his soul. Silence, then, is not passivity, it's control. It's consciously deciding not to react, not to explain, not to engage in a war of words that leads nowhere. In many situations, speaking only exacerbates the problem. When someone provokes you, when you feel the urge to defend yourself, when the ego demands to be heard, silence is the best strategy. Not because you have nothing to say, but because not everything deserves a response. The wise mind measures the value of each word before releasing it, and often discovers that the price of speaking is higher than that of remaining silent. Whoever reacts loses control. Whoever remains silent keeps it. And in that silent balance there is power. Valuing silence is also a form of respect towards others. It means giving them space to express themselves, allowing their ideas to breathe without interruption. It's accepting that the conversation doesn't always need to move quickly, that pauses also communicate. When you listen without anxiety, when you don't fill the voids with unnecessary words, you transmit calm. That calm is felt, it's contagious, and it turns any dialogue into something deeper. In everyday life, practicing conscious silence can completely change your energy. It's not about becoming distant or cold, but about learning to observe before acting. For example, when someone tells you something that irritates you, don't respond immediately. Breathe, let the emotion settle. In that brief moment of silence, a wiser response can be born. You can also apply this in your relationships. You don't always need to explain your decisions or justify every choice. Those who live with purpose don't seek approval, they seek coherence. Silence not only protects, it also teaches. It teaches you to know yourself, to listen to your thoughts without running away, to understand your reactions before projecting them. In that noiseless space, you can distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. There you discover how much energy you waste talking about things that change nothing. The Stoic understands that silence is not repression, it's filtering. Not every thought deserves a voice. Not every emotion deserves a stage. Valuing silence is a form of self-respect. It's deciding that your peace is worth more than an argument. It's recognizing that serenity doesn't need to be demonstrated. Whoever masters silence has the ability to see clearly even in the midst of chaos. In a world where everyone screams for attention, the one who remains silent becomes magnetic. Because silence, when it comes from inner strength, is not interpreted as absence but as absolute presence. And that presence, silent but firm, is what distinguishes the one who reacts from the one who understands, the one who speaks from the one who truly communicates. 3. Advise only if asked. Giving advice without being asked is like trying to fix a clock that isn't broken. You may do it with good intentions, but you end up altering its functioning. Most people are not looking for a solution when they speak. They are looking for understanding. They want to be heard, not corrected. However, many confuse empathy with intervention, and without realizing it, they turn every conversation into an opportunity to show that they know more, that they understand more, that they would do things better. That doesn't help, it distances. Stoicism teaches that you can't help someone who is not willing to receive help. Epictetus said that no one changes out of obligation, but out of understanding. When you advise without permission, what you really do is impose your worldview on another person, and that is ego disguised as kindness. It may sound cruel, but many times giving advice is a way of not tolerating other people's silence, of filling the uncomfortable space where you should simply accompany. Sometimes silence is more therapeutic than words. Listening with presence is more useful than offering rushed solutions. People don't need you to tell them what to do, they need to discover it for themselves. If you intervene too soon, you rob them of that process. The wise man does not impose his experience, he shares it when asked, because he understands that real learning comes from self-reflection, not from others' instructions. In everyday life, you can notice how this habit destroys connections without you noticing. Someone tells you a problem and you respond with a, "You should do this," or, "If I were you, I would do that." But that person did not ask you for advice. They just wanted to feel understood. And when you don't understand that, you break the bridge. The conversation cools down, the other person closes off, and what could have been empathy turns into resistance. People don't need you to guide them all the time. They need to feel capable. The art of advising wisely is in waiting for the right moment. When someone says to you, "What do you think?" or "I need your advice," only then does the door open. Before that, every word you utter may sound like criticism, even if it isn't. Learning to restrain the impulse to speak, to correct, to save the other is an act of emotional maturity. It requires understanding that you are not always the protagonist in the other's story, that your role may simply be to listen and be present. Advising without permission is also a way of not respecting the other's process. Not everyone is ready to hear what you think they should know. Not everyone is at the same point of awareness or readiness. That's why the Stoic practices patience and prudence. Seneca said that the wise man acts at the right moment, neither before nor after. Applied to communication, it means knowing when to speak and when to be silent. If you learn to wait, you will notice that people will trust you more. They will seek your opinion because they will feel that you do not judge them, that you understand them without needing to impose anything. Your word will gain weight because you speak from calmness, not from the need to be right. True advice does not come from impulse. It comes from observation and respect. Advise only if asked, because whoever asks is prepared to listen. Otherwise, your words will be seeds thrown to the wind. They will not germinate, they will only be lost. Wisdom is not demonstrated by speaking more, but by knowing when to be silent, when to wait, and when to offer your voice with intention. The Stoic understands this. He does not seek to be heard all the time. 4. Choose kindness. Every word you utter is like a stone thrown into the water. It can create gentle waves that soothe, or it can cause an impact that breaks the surface. What you choose to say, and especially how you say it, determines the type of energy you leave in others. Being kind does not mean being weak. It means having control over yourself even when you could react harshly. Stoic kindness is not naive, it is a contained force. It is the conscious decision to respond with wisdom instead of impulsivity. Most people believe that being straightforward is equivalent to being rude, that honesty only has value if it hurts, that speaking kindly is disguising the truth. But the Stoic understands that truth without respect loses its purpose. Seneca said that he who hurts with words does not demonstrate intelligence, he demonstrates lack of temperance. Kindness is not a strategy to please, it is a reflection of inner mastery. Because anyone can react with aggression, but few are capable of maintaining calm when provoked. In everyday life, you can notice how the way you speak completely changes the outcome of a conversation. The same idea can build or destroy depending on the tone with which you say it. When you speak from calm, you open doors. When you speak from anger, you close them. The Stoic chooses his tone with the same precision with which he chooses his thoughts. He does not seek to win, he seeks to harmonize. And that requires strength, not submission. Kindness also implies empathy. It is understanding that each person carries battles that you do not see, that behind a reaction there is history, fatigue, or pain. It's not about justifying everything, but about responding without adding more chaos. When someone verbally attacks you, you have two options: reflect their energy or transform it. Choosing the latter is a sign of evolution. You don't need to lower yourself to prove you're right. In the most difficult conversations, kindness becomes a tool of clarity. Instead of responding with sarcasm or irony, you can use the pause. Instead of raising your voice, you can ask a question. That conscious choice changes the course of interactions. Whoever acts with kindness masters the emotional terrain, because they do not depend on the behavior of the other to decide their reaction. Calm is their silent power. It's not about being complacent or avoiding conflict. Stoicism does not promote passivity, it promotes balance. You can correct with respect, you can confront without humiliating, you can be firm without losing your composure. That is the difference between brute force and inner strength. The former reacts, the latter chooses. Being kind does not mean letting yourself be walked over. It means choosing not to dirty your energy at the same frequency as the other. In a world where communication is full of criticism, sarcasm, and wounded egos, kindness becomes an act of rebellion. Not because you seek approval, but because you choose not to feed the noise. Every time you respond with respect in the midst of chaos, you raise the level of the conversation, and that inspires. Kindness is not forgotten, it leaves traces. Choose kindness, not so that others see you as a good person, but because it makes you someone free. Free from the need to react, to prove, to win. Free from the emotion that wants to control your words. Being kind, even when they don't deserve it, is not a sign of weakness. It's the reflection of someone who understands their own power. 5. Celebrate the achievements of others. The success of others is the mirror where many reveal their true nature. Some applaud sincerely, others with envy disguised as indifference. But what you feel when someone else wins says more about you than them. Applauding someone else's triumph takes nothing away from you. On the contrary, it shows that your worth does not depend on competing but on recognizing. Envy is a symptom of internal lack. Admiration is a reflection of balance. Whoever is at peace with himself is not afraid to see others shine, because he understands that their light does not extinguish his own. Stoicism teaches that each person has their own path, their own pace, and their own trials. Marcus Aurelius said that nothing that happens to another human being can be alien to the wise, because we are all part of the same nature. When you look at the achievements of others from that perspective, you stop comparing yourself and start getting inspired. The success of others ceases to be a threat and becomes evidence of what is also possible for you. The small mind competes, the great mind collaborates. In everyday life, comparisons are inevitable, but you decide whether to use them to grow or to embitter yourself. Seeing someone progress faster, earn more, or achieve what you desire sooner can generate frustration if your self-esteem depends on the outcome. However, the Stoic does not measure his worth by the position of others, but by the coherence with his own path. Each person faces different battles, and what you see as an easy achievement may have taken years of sacrifice. Celebrating that makes you wiser, not weaker. When you congratulate wholeheartedly, without sarcasm or reservation, you are practicing a form of inner freedom. It means that your mind is not trapped in comparison, but focused on gratitude. That attitude is felt. People perceive when your joy is genuine, and that generates respect, trust, and reciprocity. But when your praise is forced, when you say it out of obligation, it is equally noticeable. Nonverbal language always reveals what the ego tries to hide. Celebrating the achievements of others is also a way to train detachment. It teaches you to enjoy progress without needing to be the protagonist. It is understanding that success is not a limited resource, that the growth of another does not mean your failure. When you see the world as a constant competition, you live in tension. When you see it as a space for shared inspiration, you find calm. The Stoic understands that comparison is a form of distraction. While you look at others, you forget to advance on your own path. Practice it in simple things. Congratulate without reservations. Recognize without jealousy. Appreciate the opportunity to learn from others. You don't have to pretend admiration, but you do need to cultivate respect. When someone achieves something that you also desire, don't think, why him and not me? Think, if he could, then it's possible. That mental difference completely changes your energy. What used to generate anxiety now motivates you. What used to make you compete now inspires you. Seneca said that the wise man rejoices in the good of others because he understands that everyone shares the same universal reason. He applied to communication. It means that your words should reflect that awareness. Speak with recognition, not with comparison. Show admiration without feeling inferior. This not only strengthens your relationships, it also elevates your character. Celebrating the achievements of others is a practice of silent strength. You don't need to demonstrate greatness. You project it with your actions. 6. Accept the contradictions. People are like calm seas on the surface and turbulent at the bottom. We all have internal currents that contradict each other, desires that clash with values, and words that do not always match actions. Pretending that someone is coherent all the time is to demand them to be more than human. True maturity is not in expecting perfection, but in accepting that contradiction is part of human nature. Those who do not understand this live frustrated, correcting, judging, pointing out, believing that their truth is universal. Stoicism teaches that each person sees the world through the filter of their own mind. Epictetus said that things do not affect us, but the opinions we have about them. Therefore, when someone contradicts themselves, they are not necessarily lying, they are changing perspective. And that is not always hypocrisy, many times it is evolution. Accepting others' contradictions requires humility and a deep understanding of human complexity. Not everyone thinks, feels, and reacts the same, not even you. Accepting does not mean tolerating anything. It means observing without the need to correct every difference. In conversations, the impulse to point out others' inconsistencies often comes from ego, not reason. It's the desire to have the last word, to prove that you see more clearly. But the wise do not seek to win debates, they seek to maintain inner peace. You don't need to point out every mistake to be right. Sometimes the real power is in letting go. Accepting contradictions also involves seeing yourself honestly. How many times do you talk about calm and end up arguing? How many times do you ask for understanding but do not give it? Understanding this gives you a different perspective. You stop expecting absolute coherence and start practicing compassion. Each person is a mix of light and shadow, and the sooner you assume it, the freer your relationships will be. You can't build authentic connections if you only accept what fits your expectations. In everyday life, this principle can change everything. When someone contradicts you, do not take it as a threat. Listen, analyze, try to understand the motive behind the change. Perhaps that person is learning, doubting, or facing something they haven't told you. The Stoic prefers to understand rather than react because they know that serenity is worth more than a one argument. Whoever gets upset by every inconsistency of others ends up a slave to their need to be right. Accepting contradictions does not make you indifferent, it makes you wise. It means that you choose to see the whole, not just the part that fits with you. It means that you understand that people change, that life changes, and that you will also change. What you criticize today, you may understand tomorrow. What you defend today may transform tomorrow. That mental flexibility is a form of strength. Perfect coherence does not exist, only the intention to improve. And when you learn to look at contradictions calmly, you discover that behind every mistake there is a lesson. The Stoic does not react, they observe. They do not demand purity, they seek balance. And in that balance, they find true peace, accepting without giving up, understanding without justifying, maintaining calm even when the world seems to contradict itself at every word. 7. Let go of the need to be right. Clinging to being right is like trying to hold sand in your hands. The more you squeeze, the more it slips away. The need to prove that you know, that you understand better, that the other is wrong, is not strength. It's fear. Fear of being exposed, of losing control, of feeling less. But when you understand that truth does not need defense, you discover a freedom that few know. Not every debate deserves your energy. Not every discrepancy requires a battle. The wise do not seek to win. They seek peace. Most conflicts are born from this obsession to have the last word. Instead of listening, people prepare their response. Instead of understanding, they seek to refute. And the worst part is that even when they win the argument, they lose the connection. Stoicism teaches that what matters is not being right, but living according to reason. Marcus Aurelius summed it up in a simple idea. The best revenge is not to be like the one who hurt you. This also applies to dialogue. You don't need to prove anything to someone who argues out of ego, because the one who shouts the most is not the one who understands the best. Let go of the need to convince others of your point of view. Each person sees the world from their own level of consciousness. What is evident to you, to another may be invisible, and that does not make either superior, just different. The immature mind wants to impose. The mature mind lets time reveal what words cannot. When you react to every difference, you wear out your energy, lose calm, and become a prisoner of ego. Whoever needs to be right all the time lives on the defensive, ready to fight, but never at peace. In daily conversations, this lesson becomes practical. Do not interrupt to correct. Do not argue to impose. If something really deserves to be said, it will be heard when the other is ready, not when you demand it. Learn to be silent even when you know you are right. This is a form of self-mastery that few achieve. Not because you are silent out of weakness, but because you understand that truth does not need to shout to be truth. The Stoic chooses his energy wisely. He does not waste his voice on convincing those who do not want to understand. He prefers to keep his calm rather than win a pointless argument. Because, in the end, words do not change people, experiences do. You can say something with total clarity and still be misunderstood, not because you expressed yourself poorly, but because the other is not prepared to listen. Knowing this gives you a huge advantage, not to take anything personally. Let go of the need to be right also with yourself. Sometimes you cling to old ideas, to beliefs that no longer serve you, just out of pride. It is hard for you to accept that you have changed, because that would mean admitting that you were wrong before. But growing is that, recognizing that you were not always wise. It is not weakness, it is evolution. When you stop fighting to be right, you start to gain something more valuable: serenity. You realize that you don't need to impose yourself to feel in control, that you can keep calm even when others lose theirs. Peace is not found in convincing, but in understanding. And when you practice that, life becomes lighter. Conversations are no longer battlefields, but spaces to share perspectives. Letting go of the need to be right does not mean giving up. It means choosing your battles. Some are not worth it, others are won with silence. True power is not in crushing arguments, it's in keeping calm when you could fight, because the one who can stay calm in the midst of conflict. 8. Speak less, understand more. Words are like fire. Well used, they illuminate. Poorly used, they burn. Many think that speaking more makes them appear intelligent, but an excess of words almost always reveals anxiety, not wisdom. Those who truly understand do not feel the need to explain everything. Speaking less does not mean being silent out of fear, but choosing when and how to speak with intention. Each word should have a purpose, otherwise it becomes noise. Stoicism teaches that mastery of language begins with mastery of the mind. Epictetus said that before speaking, we should ask ourselves if what we are going to say is true, necessary, and kind. If it does not meet these three conditions, it is better to keep it. In a society where everyone wants to have an opinion, the voice of the wise stands out precisely because it does not compete for attention. It does not fill the silences to feel present, it respects them. Because it understands that silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. Speaking less is also a way of listening more. When you leave space for the other, you begin to notice details that previously went unnoticed. Gestures, tone, pauses. There lies the true understanding. Many listen only to respond, not to understand. But the one who listens attentively develops a deeper perception of the world and people. This ability is an advantage in everything, in your relationships, in your work, in your decisions. Because the one who understands acts with precision, while the one who only talks reacts without thinking. It is no coincidence that the wisest people speak calmly, without haste, without adornments. They do not need to convince anyone, only to express what is fair. Their presence communicates more than their words. On the other hand, those who do not control their mind need to speak constantly to assert themselves. Speaking a lot can be a way to hide insecurity, to fill an inner void with noise. But noise does not generate respect, only distraction. The Stoic knows that every poorly used word is an arrow shot without direction, and sooner or later it can hurt. Before giving your point of view, ask yourself if it is necessary. Many times, what you want to say will not change anything, but your silence can avoid unnecessary conflicts. It's not about repressing yourself, but about speaking with purpose. Whoever masters their tongue demonstrates internal control, and this is noticeable in every interaction. There is no wisdom in speaking more. Wisdom is in saying what is fair. Speaking less also gives you a strategic advantage. People who are silent observe more, analyze better, understand the patterns of others' behavior. They do not reveal too much. They do not expose themselves easily. On the other hand, those who speak without measure lose power, show weaknesses, leave traces of their emotions. Intelligent silence is not disinterest, it is emotional self-management. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the one who knows how to be silent becomes someone enigmatic, respected, and difficult to manipulate. It is to understand that the calm mind does not need noise to feel alive. It is to accept that not every thought deserves to be shared, nor every emotion needs to be pronounced. In the simplicity of your words can dwell an immense force. When you learn to master your voice, you project authority without the need to raise it. The Stoic chooses silence not out of cowardice, but out of wisdom, because he understands that understanding is not demonstrated by speaking, but by acting coherently. Each word spoken with intention carries more weight than 1,000 spoken impulsively. Those who speak less, observe more, understand more, and suffer less. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.